Very good. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the regular December meeting of the Concord Zoning Board of Adjustment. We will follow our usual procedure this evening, which is to say we will call the cases in the order in which they appear in the agenda. I will ask the appellant to come forward, be sworn in, have a seat, and offer us any testimony that he or she would like us to hear. We ask, if at all possible, that the appellant confine their testimony to 10 minutes. After that, we ask them to step down, and we will solicit testimony from anyone in the audience who is in favor of the appeal and anyone in the audience who is in opposition to it. Following that, we will check in with code enforcement to see if there are any comments from their office, and then if any testimony has been offered that seems to bear factual clarification, the appellant will have the opportunity to offer that clarification, not new evidence, not new arguments, prior to our closing the public testimony the portion of the hearing. Under most circumstances, the board will act on each case prior to moving on to the next one. The first one tonight is Ryan Washburn requesting a variance from Article 28.4 Development Design Standards, Section 28.4.1D3, Minimum Side Yard Requirements, Table of Dimensional Regulations, to permit the location of a screened porch to be located within 5 feet from the side property line where 15 feet is required. The property is known as Tax Map Lot 291Z15, located at 2 Otter Drive in the single-family residential district. Is Mr. Washburn here, or anyone? Please come forward.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. There's 4 regular members, so you could assign an alternate for this case if you would like, either one of the alternates.
I don't know. That's a tough choice. Mark, will you take this one?
Flip a coin.
Can you? Thank you.
It's last day, you know.
Please come forward.
Anyone? First timer here, so take it easy.
Yeah, anywhere is fine.
All right.
You swear to tell the truth and nothing but?
I do.
Would you identify yourself for the record as you testify, please?
Ryan Washburn, 2 Water Drive, Concord.
Very good. Would you fill us in? We've read your application,
Okay.
but for the benefit of the general public, would you fill us in on the high points of why you feel a variance is appropriate?
I feel variance is appropriate. I guess, it's in my little letter here. Look. Get a little letter. It's not contrary to the public interest, as it will be a modest addition consistent with the residential characteristics of the neighborhood. Spirit of the ordinance will be observed because the porch is open and unobtrusive, maintaining privacy and open space. Granting the variance will serve substantial justice by allowing reasonable use of the property without harming the public neighbor interests. The values of surrounding properties will not be diminished, as the addition is typical for residential properties and will not adversely affect adjacent landowners, and literal enforcement of the setback requirement would result in unnecessary hardship due to the property's layout and dimensions. You can probably see it on there on the application, how it's laid out in the back.
So I'm looking at the site map, and where is it? Is it in the back of the house?
It's on the back of the house.
Because you're on a corner lot.
Yeah, yeah, right there. That's the satellite. I threw it on there. But I have she told me at the town that 2nd Street and Otter Drive are 2 front setbacks, and I have 2 side setbacks. So I was confused about that as well. So it's on the back of the house, but it's a side setback. That's what she told me.
So there's a road on that side of the house?
So I got a road on
Can't see that.
road on Otter Drive there on the right,
Oh, okay.
as laid out in the
On
picture, and then
that side.
2nd Street on the top.
Okay.
So I'm on a corner lot. So they said
Gotcha.
both of the other property lines are considered side.
For corner lots, you only have
I didn't know
2
that.
fronts and 2 sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
But where you want to put the porch is in a side yard setback.
It's considered a side lot, yeah. Right where that red square is, that's the proposed location.
Never mind. Okay.
If it were a rear setback, do we know what the rear setback requirement would be?
25 feet.
Oh, okay. So it would be worse.
15 for a side, yeah.
Be worse.
Yeah, it'd be worse. I think the closest I'd come is 5 feet.
Is the front setback 25 as well, or?
No.
No,
I'm not certain what the front would be.
okay.
Yes.
25.
So when you say that the property's layout and dimensions are unique, can you just expand on that?
I think if you go, there's a few other pictures in there of how the side lays out. It kind of cuts an angle through the yard. It's not like straight. That's just the plans. There should be other plot plans on there. But see how it kind of cut, I guess the house is more at an angle in the lot, so it kind of cuts through the
so you have
backyard
a
right there.
very minimal
Yeah.
back/side yard.
Yep, yep.
Oh,
Especially at its narrowest point.
The house is kind of angled in the lot there.
and on the house next door, is that their garage?
On this side, yep.
Yeah, okay.
Do you have a sense of why they set it in such a?
It was built in 1995, so I couldn't tell you.
Is there anything?
I
about-
could
is
tell
there
you,
anything
I
about
mean,
the
there's
grade or?
terrain, so it's definitely in a bowl, but they really could have straightened it out, I think, but that's where it's at.
Other questions from the board?
Nope.
Anyone? Is there anything else you'd like us to know?
I think that's it.
Very good. Thank you very much.
All right.
Is there anyone here who would like to be heard in favor of this appeal? Is there anyone here who would like to be heard in opposition to it? Any comments from code enforcement? With that, we'll close the public presentation section of the, public testimony section of the hearing, and I'll ask the board members to give us the benefit of their thoughts, starting with Mr. Wallner.
I think the hardship lies in the way the house is positioned. It's awfully close to the rear setback. And I think it's reasonable to expect a porch to be, generally speaking, in the back of the house. That seems to be the only location where you could put a porch that I can see. I think, so I'm persuaded by the hardship argument about the positioning of the house on the lot itself.
Mr. Wood.
I agree. I think it's seems to be a fairly modest porch, which is reasonable, and for the reasons Nick said, there's no other place reasonably that they could put it. So I agree.
Mr. Davey.
I agree. The corner lot makes it odd so that there's either no rear or no side, however you look at it. And it would not be uncharacteristic for the rest of the neighborhood.
I think there's
Ms.
some,
Spector Moore.
I think there's somewhere else you could put it, but it's not where they're proposing to put it, so sure.
It must be Christmas.
Okay. After I get done reading my emails here. Why is it always in public that you can't figure out where the button is that shuts the thing on? Very good.
They ship the devices.
Yes.
They know where you are at all times.
Yes. I'm inclined to agree with my colleagues. I think that there is a hardship based on the configuration of the lot and the house on it, and that the use is a reasonable one. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I move to grant the variance from section 28-4-1 D3 side setback and H table of dimensional regulations according to the provisions of RSA 674-33 to permit a side setback of 5 feet where 15 feet is required for the construction of a screened porch at 2 Otter Drive in the single-family residential district, because all of the criteria under 674-33 have been met based on the record before us, and I move to adopt the applicant's proposed findings as the board's findings of fact.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The vote is unanimous. The variance is granted. That moves us to the next case this evening. This is actually two cases for the same projects, so we'll have testimony on both cases at the same time. This is T.F. Moran on behalf of Unitil Energy Systems, requests a variance from Article 28.4 buffers to bluffs, Section 28.449C. Certain uses prohibited, the erection of or construction of a building or structure to permit the construction and location of an electrical control enclosure for the West Concord Substation Pole Storage Yard. The property is known as tax map lot 494-Z44, located at 1 through 7 McGuire Street in the industrial IN district. Gentlemen, you swear to tell the truth and nothing but.
Yes, I do.
Would you identify yourselves for the record as you testify, please?
Well, my name is Nicholas Golan. I'm a licensed engineer and principal of the firm TF Moran.
My name is Nate Sherwood. I'm a principal engineer and licensed engineer for Unitil.
All right.
Chris,
Chair.
Oh.
we're gonna let Mark vote tonight, because he's gonna, when he becomes counselor, he's not gonna stay on board, so he can just do the voting tonight. I'll just sit here and look good.
Well, what if I don't like that? You okay with that, Mark?
Let's
I
put
think
him to
I'll
work
manage.
tonight. We'll miss him, we'll
Okay.
miss him later on.
Would you give us your last names again, please?
Sherwood?
And my last name is Golan, Golon.
What would you like us to know, gentlemen?
All right. I understand you've had the opportunity to.
Mr. Chairman, there is a technical issue from your staff report on whether or not this application is a development of regional impact.
Uh-huh.
So within the staff report, that would be something that the board would make a motion on, whether or not you agree or disagree, whether or not it's a development of regional impact. So we would do that before the hearing would start. So the board determines, based on the criteria that are in the staff report, of whether or not you would consider this application a
All right.
development of regional impact.
So we should all take a look at the staff
Is
report.
that something that you would suggest we hear testimony from the applicant's position on, or?
No, that's the board's determination, based on the criteria in the staff report, and whether or not you feel as though this application meets those criteria, then you would declare it a development of regional impact. If this application does not, if you feel as though it does not meet those criteria as listed in the staff report, then you not declare it a development of regional impact, and the applicant can move forward this evening.
Where in the staff report do you touch on that?
Yeah.
Second
Top of
page?
the, yeah.
Does it abut Pembroke at all?
No.
No, it is in the Aquifer Protection Community Water System Overlay District. Were you all able to find the in the
Yep.
staff report? Yeah,
I
okay,
found it.
okay.
So there's 6 criteria.
Yes, sir. But there's a proposed motion there as well.
Does that delay this so that it has to go to central New Hampshire?
If it is declared a development of regional impact, then yes, it does. The neighboring community is notified. They have an additional 30 days within their timeframe to move forward through the process.
And why was the staff ambivalent about it?
Staff just doesn't get to make that decision, we do.
Yeah.
But it somewhat strikes me that there are some facts that, I mean, I can make some reasonable guesses about, but I don't completely have all the facts in terms of the scope of how this will impact. I mean, I can just off the top of my head looking at it, I mean, obviously there's no dwelling units, it's not on the borders, it might have, probably doesn't have transportation, but in terms of emissions and the water impact, that's what I would have questions about. I don't know if anyone here would have knowledge about that, or if we can ask the applicant, because I don't, I mean, maybe there's some additional emissions from this, but, or maybe not, because there's no emission, this isn't generating power, right, it's just connecting it.
There's nothing to stop us from
Strictly
asking the
electrical.
applicant
Yeah.
questions.
Right, okay.
Why don't you phrase your question?
Well, you answered one that, well, there's no emissions from this. It's
Correct.
simply transporting power that's already generated, right? Is that right?
It's a control building, so yeah, just electrical infrastructure. No,
Any
No
additional
propane,
light,
no-
noise, odors, or smoke from this?
No. Any lighting would be emergency lighting with the equivalent of our lights are on when your lights are off.
And what about, does it, I mean, you're near the river, but will this have any impact on the water?
No. Just as a side note, this will require an alteration of terrain permit, so we will go through the state approval process. So obviously the city will review stormwater, but that's something also be done at a state level. So you have that duality of review that's taking place to confirm there are no impacts to such.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Any other questions from the board? All right. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion. I move that the proposed project not be determined a development of regional impact under RSA 36:55, as it does not meet the criteria for regional impact.
And is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? You don't get to vote, sorry.
No, but we have questions. Does it go to public comment?
Not this part.
There'll be a chance for you to come up.
That was just a preliminary vote. We're still gonna hear the application.
There'll be a chance for you to come up during the course of the hearing if you have something you'd like us to know. I have, however, a question for staff, which is, up to now, we have not been making this determination in every case. Is this something we're going to be having to do in every case?
We are still in the process of working out the process because there was some confusion with this particular application and when it was declared a DRI by staff. And staff is not the body by the RSAs to declare a DRI. So the RSAs say, any application that comes before a local land use board. So we're working through that process to figure out when applications come in, which board do they go to first, who's going to make that declaration of a regional impact. Obviously, the previous application is nowhere near fit the criteria for a development of regional impact. But when you have these applications where it could be questionable, to an aquifer or things like that, then the development of regional impact declaration would come before the board.
Okay.
So we're still working on that internal process because it got a little bit off kilter recently. So we're trying to kind of just make this a little bit cleaner, a little bit easier, and review back to the RSA 3654, I believe.
55.
3655 is
Okay.
the RSAs for.
I had it. I didn't know that. I did not know that. It was in front of me.
I do it off the top of my head and I missed one.
What are we gonna do
But
without you?
that's the RSA that we're referring to when you look at the development of regional impact.
Okay, so,
You did very well, so thank you very much. Well done, well done motion, well done
Gold stars.
discussion, well done questions. So
okay.
well done all
Now,
around on
we'll
that.
move on to the request for variance. Carry on, gentlemen.
All right, very good. I take it you've already read our application. There's no need to recite it page and verse. All right, very good. The reality is this is the existing campus for Unitil. They have office, they have warehouse, they have outdoor storage, but this is also the home to the West Concord substation and has been since the early 1940s. Much like other infrastructure that we have in the U.S., over time it needs to grow. We have reached the point that our 1940 substation has reached its useful life and it's time to upgrade. They can provide some background if so needed, but the reality is this provides more redundancy, more reliability of service. This is the next logical step that's important for the community and the surrounding communities. We've been through planning board in the past for other substations in Concord. Essentially this one, its number is up, and we're hoping to improve upon this infrastructure at their existing campus. This one has a little bit of an oddity in that it has a closer proximity to the Merrimack River than others, and there is a portion of the property that is considered bluff. Now, typically you look at bluffs, and I guess in part, let's do a quick little educational element. What is a bluff? In this case, we're talking about a river bluff. This is a steep, broad cliff or high bank that typically overlooks a body of water, especially on the outside of a meander bend in a river or stream. These bluffs are formed by erosion where the river erodes the bank on the outside of a bend, creating a steep face. The material makes up the bluff does vary, but typically this is wind-blown rock, dust over rock, sand, or other sediments. So why are these bluffs important? Why is this in your ordinance? So river bluffs are important in New Hampshire because they're crucial habitat for unique plants, animal species, provide geological and historical records, and help maintain the river's ecosystem. Their steep slopes support specialized vegetation, serve as nesting sites for birds like our kingfishers, and their eroding sediment can build beaches downstream. They also have a historical context in that they reveal information about the area's past climates in geology through the sedimentary layers and fossils. So that's a little bit of backstory. Okay, what is a bluff? Why is it important? The first variance is being requested is in regards to a structure relative to be located within a 50-foot buffer of the bluff. That area is currently Unitil's pole storage yard. They have other equipment of equal capacity and weight that is located within that area. We also have the existing West Concord substation, which is also located within that bluff. So if we have any concerns for the interaction of that equipment, its weight or otherwise, those are really nullified by its existing use. We are not clearing any vegetation. We're actually removing some impervious material in this area that will go back to grass, specific to the buffer request for the bluff. So relative to
Is
the
it that
graphic.
little square?
Yep, so relative to the graphic before you, the substation is going in what would be the easterlymost corner of that graphic. So the lower right-hand corner, you can see this long linear item, which is actually the pole storage. So there's our existing poles, and there's a route that circulates around that for pickup, drop-off of materials or otherwise. Where we're locating the substation, and it's being done, very methodically, is that upper right-hand corner of the existing yard. It's purposeful in that we need to have certain interconnection points from an electrical safety standpoint. The location of this control building is also specific in that it still applies to building setbacks. So we have to make sure that the building, the control enclosure is also located outside of those buildings. So no work being done on this side of the campus, so that's their existing office and warehouse. We're really focused on the east side, and you can see how the site's really bisected by a component. That's what's considered the bluff ravine. And our second zoning request has to do with recontouring a portion of that. So as part of the development or redevelopment of this site, there is stormwater management features that are now required to be incorporated that were not so required in the 1940s. So we are giving this a more appropriate stormwater management system. Right now, this site in its entirety basically drains to that low point through the ravine and then directly to the river. On the upstream portion, we'll be adding a stormwater management basin that will provide the opportunity for that stormwater to be collected, treated, pollutants removed, and then discharge along its existing flow course towards the river. So relative to that second request of recontouring, it's specific to providing that stormwater management area and noting that that area of work is, or appears to be, an existing stump dump. So that area has already been impacted. There are some invasive species within that area that would be removed. And the loose soils that are currently there, we would have the opportunity to fortify to provide a more enhanced, appropriate ravine associated with that bluff. So I look at this across the board and say these are improvements for this property, for stormwater, for the river, for the ecosystem. And specifically, we did meet with the conservation relative to this application as they have input on the planning level relative to those bluff buffers, and it received unanimous approval with no revisions. So I think of the criteria that's required relative to the zoning relief, does it meet the intent of the ordinance? Is this consistent with the neighborhood? We've been here longer than most of the other folks. It is very much consistent with what the expectations would be such that relief could be granted. I realize you look for 10 minutes or less, so I'll try and be short and be answering any questions.
Do you, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Do you have, so are you rebuilding excuse me.
Bless you.
Are you, thank you. Are you rebuilding and relocating a substation?
Yep. So if we pan just upward on that GIS screen, thank you. You can see where the existing substation is, really at just outside the top of the page there. Just to the right of that building is the existing substation. Okay. So it's equally located in proximity to the existing bluff. The reality is, the equipment will be decommissioned, and that yard may be used for storage or otherwise consistent with what's out there now.
Is the reason for relocating it because you want to keep the one running until you have the other one ready to go, or is there a
combination?
Partially, yeah.
Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, partially that, and the other reason is where it is now is very small, and all around there is where we store, equipment for use. So we really have no room to expand that, and it's a really small substation, so we just can't fit what we're trying to, install now. So, and we need the extra storage just for the equipment around the yard, the building there. So.
Yeah, so order of magnitude, the existing substation yard is about 4,000 square feet. The new substation yard is 22,000 square feet. So when we fast forward, what is that, 60, 70, 85 years, it needs bigger. And that's important because it provides the opportunity not only for construction laydown, but also for Unitil's ability to maintain those structures once they're constructed.
Could you, go ahead.
I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry. You go first.
I never get to do anything.
You're the chair. You go first. You always wait till the end.
As far as the regrading goes, could you explain again exactly why that's necessary?
Of course. I had mentioned the stormwater management system that would be incorporated in this. Right now, that centrally located area is a ravine in which stormwater currently drains to and drains down towards the Merrimack River. At the very headwater of that, there's a small triangular piece, and do we have the site plan available, or can I drive from here? If we could pull up the site plan, I can show you where it is. It's a very small area, but it provides for an appropriate grade transition from the stormwater basin to the existing soils. It's predicated on two things. One, the size of the stormwater management system to make sure that it's appropriate, but two, as part of, if we can go to the second sheet, please. Perfect. And you can see the kind of obelisk shape there in the lower left-hand corner. In order to make sure that our discharge is along an existing flow path, there's some recontouring so that we can make sure that discharge is along a flat area, so it provides a smooth transition to grade. So the area in which we are seeking that relief is really just a small triangular section along the north side of that basin.
Where it happens to be close to the bluff. Where it happens to be close to the bluff.
Yes, sir. So by your regulations, the ravine associated with the bluff is also considered the bluff. So by that token, because we are working within that ravine portion, it's considered a bluff impact. You guys have a subnote within your regulations that stipulates that. As I had mentioned as an aside, this is really a little bit of restoration work too. These aren't naturally occurring existing soils here. As part of our test pits that we conducted for our stormwater management system, we found that this is a fill area. So that fill that doesn't belong within that ravine would be removed, graded flat, and then restored with loam and seed.
Ms. Spector-Morgan.
There's no way to expand the existing building to accommodate what you need. You have to.
Correct. So one of the points Nate was making, and it's really, you can just look at it in the magnitude of sizing. It's a 4,000 square foot substation. Now it needs to be 22,000. So because of the growing needs of the community, that substation has gotten larger. In part, you guys are being fed by many other substations, but in order to provide that redundancy of service, that backup power that's necessary, I want to say order of magnitude is about 2,500 customers on this with another 3,500 that are the backup supply. So that redundancy makes sure that those people's power is restored faster.
So you're going to keep them both?
No, the existing sub will go away after this is constructed.
Okay.
And just order of magnitude, you can see the existing sub in the upper left-hand corner. there isn't enough space to rebuild it in that location.
All right. My second question was, I assume the Conservation Commission made you do some sort of wildlife survey in the bluffs to make sure there's nothing
So as part of
special or endangered out there.
So as part of this and part of the alteration of terrain program, we do have to file not only U.S. Fish and Wildlife, but New Hampshire Fish and Game to make sure there are no concerns with rare and endangered wildlife. So that box is automatically checked as we go through that approval process.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Guys, just a very basic question. What exactly is a substation? Like, what is it? What's its function?
I'd love to answer that. And Nate's the
You don't have to
expert.
give me the full, the
He loves talking
YouTube
about
version,
electric.
but-
We'll both
okay.
nerd this out engineers-wise, so the bridge Sorry.
So very simply, electricity is transmitted at higher voltages because the losses are lower. So when you go 20, 30, 100 miles, you need the higher voltage, otherwise you lose so much power along the way. So what a substation does is it takes the higher voltage, it steps it down to a lower voltage that you can put on the street, and then you transform that when it goes into someone's house to 120 volts. So it's basically a switch.
Transformer.
It's a transformer station, but there's circuit breakers. So just like a circuit breaker in your house, we have big high voltage breakers that trip and they isolate. If we have a pole or a tree come down and take down a pole, we try to keep that outage as small as possible with a bunch of circuit breakers so that only one breaker opens and you only lose a few customers versus 10,000.
So a good parallel is to look at our roadway system. Your transmission system is the equivalent of a highway, whereas your distribution system is more of your local roads.
Yeah.
So you're stepping that power down to a more useful service to serve the community.
So I assume it's obviously it's a lot of automation, but you have some human. Do you have some people who are manning it at various times, or it's all from remote?
It's all electronically monitored and controlled. So if a tree comes down, these circuit breakers know that and they open. And we also have remote control of the whole yard. And that's part of what the control house will be. So it monitors everything. We have a control center 24/7 that they can see. The instant a breaker opens, they get an alarm.
So there may or may not be.
Monitoring it, just not right in that.
Correct.
So there may be no staff there at any given time.
Yeah, normally there'll be no one there, except if there's an outage, we'll send crews there to, operate a breaker.
Much like anything, you have typical maintenance inspections. So
Exactly.
usually once one of these substations is constructed, it's, a monthly inspection or otherwise.
Yep.
This one's a little bit different in that it'll also have a pole yard that's associated with it. So that again goes to serving the immediate vicinity of the community, so that if there's an outage or if there's a pole replacement project taking place, they'll pull from the stock.
Thank you.
So just as a follow-up to Andrew's question, right at exit 14, that's a substation too, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll see, fenced in to protect the public. So,
Other questions from the board?
Nope.
Is there anything else you'd like us to know?
No, sir, we're here to answer any questions if there's follow-up though.
I think we're all set, thank you.
Sir. Thank you. Step back, step up, yes.
Is there anyone who'd like to be heard in favor or in opposition to this appeal? Please come forward.
Hello?
Good evening.
Good evening.
You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but?
We swear.
Very good. Would you identify yourselves for the record, please?
I'm Cheryl Gochez, Gochez, and we're at Smokestack Center. We abut this property, so we're kind of, just want to know everything, how it would affect us, kind of.
My name is Carlos Coaches. We own the Smokestack Center.
Oh,
And
you own it.
Unit
That's all
decided-
commercial, right?
We're commercial,
Yeah,
yes,
right, right.
yes.
Yeah.
Do you have specific questions?
Well, I'll let you do it.
I guess our question is the amount of power going through. It's going from a 600 square foot substation to a 2,200 square foot substation, which 2,200, right?
That's what
At
they decide, yeah.
2,200. Where they're putting it kind of is right, almost abuts us. So I guess we want to know how much power, how is it going to affect us? Will there be fencing? Will there be, is it, I mean, this is really the first we kind of know about it, besides a little thing we got in the paper, so.
Okay, any other questions?
Yes. Regarding the power transfer, it is obviously a substation. It's going to be a control. A controller controls power up and controls power down. Right now, we are supposed to have a licensing with them where they can only transfer so much power through our land. And they haven't paid any license fees. We have been trying to update the license, but they have never responded to anything. So, my worry is they're gonna still be using our land where the lines go through, and we are not gonna be also properly addressed. And
That's not something the zoning board can help you with.
well, no, but however, it has an impact because it's going through our land. And if you don't see that,
But wait, you're saying licensing that's in your deed, they have a right to do it, or you have a contract with them?
well,
I get, in the original deed, Unitil has a licensure with us to they have big lines going through part of a piece of our property that's off of North State Street, and we're kind of concerned about that, because it's, we kind of abut them, and, they don't have access to North State Street. It goes through our land, and, whether we get the proper information from them to contact somebody there.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess we just want to know how it's going to impact us.
And where
I think-
are you located? Here on the map, where are you located?
we are on
We're North-
254.
North
North
State Street,
State
we're
Street.
we're Smokestack,
Parking lot.
we're the parking lot, there's a
Here.
big building
Okay.
down there, we're that whole building.
Thank
So
you.
I think
Yeah,
at the-
and where the driveway is where Unitil's power lines go through up to the road.
So what the chair was trying to explain to you is that that's a private contractual issue between you and Unitil.
Okay.
And nothing we can help you with or take into consideration when considering the variance. But certainly, these gentlemen are here.
We could get
We can
information
speak with
from
them. And after this, they are going to have to go to the planning board, which will address issues like fencing and those other questions you have in terms of site development in particular. But again, they're here tonight, and I'm sure can answer some of your basic questions.
Well, nonetheless, I still want to express my opinion to you guys
Yes.
that it has an impact, because as owners of the property, and if they're going to increase the power, definitely is going to change things for us. And we're going to probably say in some polite way, no, you cannot do transfer power through us. However, they're a utility company, which may have a little more weight in your eyes, but it's not, it wouldn't be as fair. All we are letting you know is that there is going to be an impact, and that's what you guys are here for, is to notice the impact. That's all.
On the bluff, in this case, our purview is fairly narrowly constrained. There are certain specific zoning issues that we are entitled to consider, and other things that might very well be important issues, but they have to be considered in another arena, not here.
And nothing we do gives them the right to go over your property. So we can grant the variance, the planning board can grant site plan approval. If you don't grant whatever rights they need to go over your property, they're gonna have to figure out another way to do it.
We have been trying to get in touch with them, and they have made efforts and then disappeared.
I hear what you're saying.
When you have an entity like that, you begin to question, what are they truly your neighbor? Or even they're using our land, and you build something, that structure that is 2,200 square feet, it's a large structure. It's up to have impact on the land. We would be accepting if it is also, we are trying to develop that land, which was underused at one time. It was industrial, was neglected. We brought life to the thing, and now the north end has flourished since then. We brought, well, I'm just telling you, to keep those things in mind.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Great job with the smokestack.
Pardon?
You've done a great job with the smokestack.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any comments from code enforcement? Gentlemen, would you like to offer factual clarification in response to anything you've heard?
Yeah, so to their questions, I think what they're referring to is we have an easement from our existing substation that goes across their property, and we have some power lines that go up to North State Street. So that easement document is very old. We can pull it up.
Something we can make sure that we address with the planning board, which is probably the more appropriate venue to discuss that. Specific to the question of the power that flows through the
So
facility, again, not a generation facility.
Yeah. So the power that will be flowing through, the voltage will be the same, so we're not increasing voltages and, creating another issue.
That's probably the easiest answer.
Yeah.
There is no change in voltage.
So meaning the amount of power that flows through it at any given time will be the same? It's just there'll be more total, so it'll be running through.
It could be more power, but the voltage is the same, so, for example, the poles aren't getting to, 40 feet taller or anything much different. The size of the equipment is similar.
So, there's always some risk. I realize you have a lot of precautions, but there's, nothing's risk-free. Does it increase the risk at all?
No, I would say it decreases it because we'll have more high-tech protection systems.
So if we wanted a
safety.
comparison to, think of our technology in 1940.
Yeah.
Right.
Think of our technology
What
today.
technology?
The improvements are well beyond marginal as far as the improvements that would be associated with the substation. This is an advancement in technology, as well as all of the additional systems that Nate may mention too, with the ability to remotely view and in real time understand what's happening with their substation, which is equally important. I'll touch on the one item, although it is also more of a planning item. It's an 8-foot high security fence with a 1-foot barbed wire arm, similar to what's out there now. And there is fencing that is currently along the property line. So no specific change when we think about what that looks like.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the board? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
With that, we'll declare the public testimony portion of the hearing closed. We actually have 2 variances which are listed as 2 separate cases. So we'll start with the one that's item 4.2, which was, let's see, the erection or construction of a building or structure in the setback to the bluff. Would Ms. Spector-Morgan like to take this one in terms of discussion?
Yeah. I don't have any concerns about building this building in the setback of the bluff. I think that the public interest and spirit of the ordinance are not hindered by the granting of this variance. It's not going to alter the essential character of the neighborhood. It's essentially an industrial neighborhood. There's already a substation there. We're just moving it. And we're moving it into the buffer. We're not moving it directly into the bluff. And the appropriate research has been done to make sure that the environmental characteristics of the bluff that we want to protect are in fact being protected. Substantial justice is being done because there is no gain to the general public from denying the variance, whereas the harm to the actual general public of denying the variance is very real. I don't believe that there's any evidence that there will be a diminution of surrounding property values, and the hardship is that the property was developed in the 1940s, and so this is where the property is, and this is where the substation needs to go. So yes, I would be in favor of granting the variance.
Mr. Davey, how do you see it?
Nothing to add.
Mr. Winters?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, we have to listen to the applicants in this case are the experts, and we don't have any other experts who are saying, oh, would they be better served by an expanding substation somewhere else? I thought the applicants were credible on this point. I don't blame the abutters for coming forward because they may have legitimate concerns, but their rights are going to be governed by the easement that they have, and that's, if they're not getting answers directly from Unitil, they should pursue that, private action of some sort or some other venue. But as was stated here, our only concern is with the variance on the bluff, and I think the benefits to the community greatly outweighs. We haven't heard anything that this will in any way change any existing impact to the bluff, which seems to be minimal.
Mr. Wallner?
I have nothing to add.
Nor do I. Would anyone care to make a motion? This is on the variance concerning actually building the installation.
I move to grant the variance, Article 28-4 buffers to bluff, Section 28-449C1A, certain uses prohibited. Wrong one. 28-449C1A, certain uses prohibited, the erection or construction of a building or structure to permit the construction and location of an electrical control enclosure for the West Concord substation pole storage yard located at 1-7 McGuire Street, because all of the criteria under RSA 674-33 have been met based on the record before us, and to adopt the applicant's proposed findings as the board's findings of fact.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. That takes us down to item 4.3, same proposed project. This is a variance to permit revision of the existing grading. We have testimony that this is necessary for adjusting the drainage, surface drainage. I'm going to start this one with Mr. Winters. How do you see it?
I don't have any. I think the statements made previously by Ms. Spector-Morgan remain largely true for this variance.
Mr. Davey?
Same. They're going to get the AOT alteration of terrain permit, so there will be a redundancy on the impact of the regrading in particular.
Mr. Wallner?
Nothing to add.
Inspector Morgan?
It will improve the stormwater drainage. I don't see the downside.
I agree with my colleagues. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I move to grant the variance, Article 28-4 buffers to bluffs, Section 28-4, 49C1A, certain uses prohibited, the recontouring or grading of the land to permit the construction and location of an electrical control enclosure for the West Concord Substation Pole Storage Yard located at 1-7 McGuire Street, because all of the criteria under 674-33 have been met based on the record before us, and to adopt the applicant's proposed findings as the board's findings of fact.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. The variance is granted. You're all set. The next case is item 4.4 on the agenda. John Arnold, on behalf of William Young Properties LLC, requesting a variance from Article 28.4 Development Design Standards, Section 28.41C, minimum lot frontage, H, Table of Dimensional Regulations, to permit 80 feet of frontage where 100 feet is otherwise required for the conversion of a non-residential building to a residential building. The property is known as Tax Map Lot 1413-P33, located at 37 Washington Street in Pennacook in the Urban Commercial District. ZBA Case 0347-2025. Mr. Arnold, you swear to tell the truth and nothing but it?
Yes, I do.
Would you identify yourself for the record as you testify, please?
Sure. John Arnold from Warren Reno, presenting the applicant, William Young Properties, LLC. So as you said, this is 37 Washington Street in Pennacook. It's in the Urban Commercial Zoning District. The site was previously occupied by Capital Alarm Systems, so commercial use in an existing building built in the 1960s. Mr. Young bought the property a few months ago, and he's going to convert the inside of the building into 3 apartment units. The lot is a pre-existing non-conforming lot. It has about 60 feet of frontage. 100 feet is, it has about 80 feet of frontage. 100 feet is required in the zoning district, so it's about 20 feet short. City determined that we need a frontage variance to convert the building from the prior commercial use to the residential apartments. We applied for that variance, but in our application, it's a threshold matter. I don't believe that a variance is necessary here, so I'd like to briefly address that first.
Please do.
Section 2883C2 of the zoning ordinance says that you can develop any non-conforming lot for any use that's permitted by right in the district, in a non-residential district, if 5 conditions are met. The first condition is that the lot has at least 22 feet of frontage. We have 80 feet here. Second condition is that all the setbacks and other dimensional requirements can be met. Here we meet all the dimensional requirements except that the existing building is within the side yard setback. However, that encroachment in the side yard setback is entitled to remain. The building itself is a pre-existing non-conforming structure built within the setback, so the 15-foot side yard setback does not apply to that building. The third criteria is that the lot was under separate ownership from the adjacent lots when the ordinance became effective. Fourth is that the lot be combined with any adjacent lots under common ownership. This doesn't apply since there aren't any. And fifth, that the property is served by public sewer or as a septic system approval. This property is on public sewer. In the staff report, the city takes exception to 2 issues under that section. The first is that they believe that the second criteria is not met because, as I mentioned, the building is in the side yard setback. I respectfully disagree with that because I believe that the grandfathering provision in the ordinance that allows the building to remain in that setback essentially trumps this provision. In other words, we comply with the setback that we need to comply with. We don't need to comply with the 15-foot setback because the ordinance says the building's allowed to be there. It was built before the ordinance came into effect. And the second issue the staff takes is that they don't believe that this constitutes development, and so the ordinance allows the development of any non-conforming lot with a permitted use. And I respectfully disagree with that as well. I believe this is development. It's not ground-up building. I agree with that. But I think that in a The ordinance doesn't define what development is. I think in a common sense understanding, the plain meaning of the word development includes renovations like this, converting the building from a commercial use to a residential use. And just from a practical standpoint, I don't think it really makes any sense to say, you could go out and build a 3-unit apartment building here from scratch on this lot, but you can't take an existing building and convert it to 3 units because the building is already there. The frontage is the same either way. This is just repurposing a building. It's really just changing a use from a commercial building to a residential building on a pre-existing lot, pre-existing building. I think it should be allowed. Having said that, we did submit the variance application because as the staff determined, I'll pause before I get into the variance criteria so you can address that threshold issue. If you find that a variance isn't needed, I think we're done. If you think that a variance is needed, I'm happy to address the criteria.
Very good, thank you. Could we get the staff perspective on this, please?
As it's clearly spelled out in the staff report, we have made the interpretation that this application does require a variance for frontage as the use is changing. It's an allowed use in the zone, but it's changing to residential use, and that is the frontage requirements is 100 feet. This lot is 80 feet. Also negating it is that it's, as Mr. Arnold said, that because the side setback cannot be met, so it does not meet the parameters. And also, this section of the ordinance also talks about a single family dwelling. This is not a single family dwelling. That's another issue that doesn't apply to this application.
If I may clarify on that last point, the provision in the ordinance allows in a residential district the lot to be developed for a single family residence. In a non-residential district, it's allowed to be developed for any permitted use in the district. This is the urban commercial district. It's a non-residential district, and so it can be developed under the provision I cited if those five criteria are met for any permitted use, not a single family residence.
Very good. Thank you very much. All right, let's talk this over amongst ourselves. I'm going to start with Ms. Spector-Morgan. How do you see this?
I think he needs a variance because it's in the side setback.
Okay. Can you say why that is? In other words, yes, it's in the side
Yes.
setback, but Mr. Arnold's contending that doesn't apply in this case.
I understand that he's contending that doesn't apply, and I understand that it's a non-conforming building, and the building is entitled to stay there. But the condition for developing on a non-conforming lot is that all yards, setback, parking, and other requirements of this ordinance can be met. And if this was a vacant lot and you were going to build this building there, you would have to meet the side setback. So it's not exactly the same thing as saying if this was a vacant lot, you could go ahead and put this building on it, because you couldn't do that without a variance. And while the existing building is entitled to remain, that's true, but if you want to convert the use, you have to comply with the requirements of the ordinance. And in this case, because you have a non-conforming lot and you want to develop it, and I do think this is development of that lot, you've got to comply with the requirements for doing that. And in order to do that, you have to comply with the side yard setbacks, and you can't. So I think a frontage variance is required.
Mr. Davey, how do you see it?
I'm stuck because we're not into the variance yet, but I'm still having trouble understanding why the single versus 3 unit hits the trigger, especially when it's surrounded by other residential in a not residential district. So do we know why that threshold is the way it is? Like the single family?
sorry.
Yeah,
You're asking me.
why the threshold is for single family and not multifamily?
That's how.
It says in a residential district, a one-family detached dwelling may be constructed on a non-conforming lot, and in a non-residential district, a permitted use may be constructed.
Understood.
This is a permitted use.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Winters?
Then
Are we done? I'm
I
sorry.
was going to say that I'm leaning that we should just give or not give it, but we should
Do the variance.
do the variance. Here's a variance.
Mr.
Argument
Winters?
for a variance.
Well,
I think Mr. Arnold makes some interesting points. What I will say is my sense is the way staff interprets it is traditionally how we've viewed it, or at least maybe by default, because I'm not sure this has always been raised the way that Mr. Arnold has. So it's, I think if we took his position, it would kind of change a lot of, or not a lot, but it comes up semi-regularly, and it would change some of our practices, which maybe is not reason to disagree, but I'm also thinking practically, and I don't want to overstate, but I think in my mind this is going to be a pretty easy variance case. I don't know if this is the right case to make that sort of big change in precedent. Not that we set precedent, but so I think I would err on the side of sticking with what staff says in this case, and maybe thinking about it sort of in a case that better captures the entire big picture, where it would really hinge on it.
Mr. Waller?
Yeah, I'm tending to lean on the side that we hear this as a variance.
I have one question that I'm still not clear on. The violation that triggers this is a side yard setback of the existing building, yet we're talking about asking him to get a variance for frontage.
Because it's a non-conforming lot, and you can develop a non-conforming lot if you can meet, among other things, the side setback.
Got it. Okay. Now I understand.
Excuse me.
Okay. I think it could be reasonably said that they don't meet all of the criteria, A through E, or however they were, even though the building is entitled to be there. It is kind of a weird situation. But probably the most straightforward thing for us to do, from my point of view, is hear the request for variance. Would anyone care to make a motion?
Do we need a motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
I move that we require a variance because the requirements of section 2883C2 are not all met.
Very good. Is there a second?
I'll second. Oh. Go ahead. Either one. Andrew.
It got half seconded by two people. Let the record show. Is there any discussion? All in favor of affirming the requirement for a variance, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. Mr. Arnold, please proceed.
All right, thank you. Appreciate you considering that, and I've been wrong before, and I'm sure I will be again, just hopefully not tonight. So on the variance, I'll be very brief. On the public interest in the spirit of the ordinance, the frontage variance is not going to change the character of the neighborhood or threaten public safety or welfare or health. Frontage has been there for several decades and has proved that everything has been just fine. On the substantial justice, for the same reason, there won't be any harm to the public. I think there'll be a benefit to the public here by providing 3 additional housing units on a time when there's a strong need for housing in the city. On the property values, there won't be any impact because nothing's changing in terms of the frontage. It's just a continuation of the existing 80 feet. And on the hardship, property is existing. It was created with 80 feet of frontage before the ordinance existed. It's not a way to increase that frontage. And the frontage that's there has, as I said, proved adequate. There haven't been any safety issues, so there really isn't a public purpose served by requiring it to comply with 100 feet. So the use itself is reasonable, it's permitted by right in the district. As I said, it's just taking an existing building, an existing lot, converting the use. And so that's it.
Is it fair to say that any converting to any allowed use would still trigger this problem, right?
Well, I mean, I guess it goes back to my initial argument. I think it's debatable.
Yeah.
But yes, I think under your ruling that the building being in the setback precludes the use of this lot for any other use without a variance answers that question.
I'm eating supper. Excuse me.
No problem.
John, you're here so often, we should offer you.
Yeah, I
this
was-
Yeah,
cinnamon
would you
roll.
like a cinnamon roll?
I am a little offended.
We should have offered that sooner. Bad manners on my part. Very good. Any other questions from the board?
Cinnamon meetings before.
Is there anything else you'd like us to know?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone who'd like to be heard in favor or in opposition to this appeal? Any comments from code enforcement?
Thank you.
With that, we'll close the public testimony portion of the hearing. We have a request for a variance to allow conversion of a non-conforming building to, from its current use to residential use. We heard testimony that the configuration of the building and the lot create a hardship. I'm going to start this one with Mr. Wallner. How do you see it?
Dan?
Yeah.
I'm inclined to favor this. I think it meets all 5 criteria. For granting a variance, I think the hardship is there. I don't think the surrounding property values would be diminished, and I think we're doing substantial justice by granting it.
Mr. Winters?
Yeah, and I think that the conversion it's a strong use of the building. You know, as was stated by somebody earlier, it's something that is beneficial to the city as a whole, you know, by adding more housing, and it seems like it's the best way to convert it. So I think his arguments in favor of why it doesn't need a variance, although we denied that request, I think they kind of carry over to the variance itself.
Very good. Mr. Davey?
Same as the above. It's an excellent reuse of a structure. The structure predates, or in the lot predate the current zoning. It aligns with the character of the neighborhood, which appears residential despite the urban commercial zoning district. So I'm inclined to support it.
Ms. Spector-Moore?
Me too.
I agree with my colleagues. I believe that variance is justified. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I move to grant the variance from Article 28.4 Development Design Standards, Section 828.4.1C, minimum lot frontage /H, Table of Dimensional Regulations, to permit 80 feet of frontage where 100 feet is otherwise required for the conversion of a non-residential building to a residential building at 37 Washington Street, Pennacook, because all the criteria under RSA 674-33 have been met based on the record before us, and to adopt the applicant's proposed findings as the board's findings of fact.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. The variance is granted. We do have a couple of other items on the agenda. Minutes from September 3rd, October 30th, and November 5th.
Damn, September 3rd minutes.
I just don't know if this is the right time to approve them. I feel like we should wait a little longer.
Stop.
Are you guys all here though? Wasn't
I
Jim
wasn't
the third
here.
person?
Oh, is this? Oh no.
Ah.
Do we need 3 people who? Was this
Why-
the fateful?
Was
meeting?
September 3rd was when we only had 3 people?
Was this the fateful?
I
Pleasant
think
Street?
if you've all read them, I don't see an issue with
Well,
having
I'm sure
them
they haven't read them, but
specific.
It's like-
The
it's like
meeting to
30
approve
pages
them.
long.
If everyone has read the minute, if that's the case.
Well, I
If
know I
everyone
was
has read the
there.
minutes, I feel as though you're
because
fine
I
to approve.
had to chair it, so I know I was there.
This was the Federal Street meeting, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was not here, so.
I was not here and I didn't read them.
There's only 3 of us. It was Jim, myself, and Andrew, yeah. So only 2 of us are here.
Yeah, but theoretically, that we could all vote except that they probably should have watched the meeting, right? Because the minutes you kind of they have to see if they match the. So it'll be
All right. To tell you the truth, I am not prepared to vote on this because I have not read the minutes and I have not looked at the tape. And I would be,
It's not that long to tape for 16 cases.
We're ringing in the new year with September.
some people run a much more efficient meeting than others. We know that.
I guess we pass on this one, right?
October and November?
About October 30th.
That was the Friday one,
That was
right?
the special
Thursday, yeah.
rehearing
That was a
one.
special meeting.
And I was not there.
Oh.
Thursday.
I'll move
I
to
was
approve
there.
those.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Aye.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed?
I was
No.
not there.
Who was the first? Laura and Mark, you were the second. Andy was the second. Thank you.
And November 5th, I was not here for those.
I move to approve them.
Second.
It's been moved to second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Okay. I said aye even though I don't mean aye. Approved 2026 meeting dates. What if we have a hissy fit and say we don't like them?
That's fine by me.
We have to,
We want cinnamon
Have a
rolls
lot
at
of
every
Wednesday
meeting.
so we have to approve, we have to approve that? All right. Anyone care to make a motion?
I move to
I'll
approve,
abstain.
accept.
Where are the dates?
Oh, yeah,
We had them last meeting. They're the
Hang on.
first Wednesday of every
Hang on,
month.
let me get my
We'll stick,
glasses on.
we'll stick to the same regime we've
everything was.
had for the last 50 years.
The only,
as far
the
as I
only
know.
weird thing sometimes is July 4th, but it wasn't.
But it wasn't weird.
It wasn't
No.
weird this year. so-
Well, if it gets, I mean, if we have to make an adjustment, we'll do it. But anyone care to make a
Yeah.
motion?
Yeah.
I move to approve them.
Is there a second? Come on, guys.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Anyone opposed? Very good. Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. We'll miss you.
So Mark,
You get a new job, but not a new chair.
No, no.
Let's see, are you,
Oh,
next to
Brenda.
Oh,
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Do you get a paycheck?
Mark,
Motion
you
to
get,
adjourn.
it's New Hampshire. Don't you get like a grand?
you get to keep your nameplate, by the way.
do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
Oh.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Adjourned.
Well, you pick.